Alright folks, how's it going? So how have I done? I have beaten my comparators. I was just down 0.36% this week and they were down about 1% on average. I'm now beating them all since the 6th of October, but you know, as usual, I'm still heavily losing in comparison from 2017. You may have noticed last week I've modified my spreadsheet slightly. So it keeps the tickers here instead of being in brackets there. That means when I go on my phone, when I'm out and about in portrait mode, I can see what, when I scroll to the left, I can see what it's next to. So if I'm looking at the change, I can see that it's next to this ticker. Yeah, there seems to be a lot of red considering I was only down 0.36%. But anyway, yeah, lots of red up there, and then a couple of really green ones in my renewables there at the bottom. But yet again, the one I missed out on, Gresham House, did better than the one I ended up going into, Gore Street Energy. But looking there, it seems like the discounts are now about equal. So maybe the buyers are monitoring that, and now that they're equal, maybe that outperformance of Gresham House will kind of abate, at least for a while, until it gets a bid before Gore Street Energy, probably. Yeah, and we had a bad move. My move of going into Schroeder Real Estate was obviously a bad one. Couldn't have timed it worse, could I? It's had quite a drop, even in comparison to the other property ones as well. It's had quite a drop. UPS has done badly, Pfizer's done badly, and this is how the Fundsmith ones did for the week. Down, Novo Nordisk is just going down and down and down. Metro Microsoft as well, they've done pretty badly, and ASML as well. Anyway, there's the information. And just not much dividends this week. Just Aberdeen Asia Focus had its yearly. Oh no, it's not yearly anymore, is it? It's quarterly. But yeah, just 36 quid from them, and then a few tiddlers, making up a total of £38.78. So what else happened in the news then? Let's have a look. I was an idiot because look, offer for Harmony Energy. So Harmony Energy has had a tiny little bidding war. So Drax has made an offer for it, and as we can see over the week, Harmony Energy popped by, let's copy it, 11.65%. Yeah, so I mean, actually, well, I suppose I only lost out on the difference, didn't I? So 6, so like 3%. So not the end of the world, but I would have been better staying in Harmony Energy for a bit longer. And so on Wednesday I just couldn't resist. Land Securities just went down on Monday and Tuesday. It just seemed to go down by a little bit each day, and the yield was just edging up, and I just couldn't resist putting a few quid into it. So I've put my money into Land Securities Group. Yeah, so we can see there it went down a bit more, and it had a bit of recovery. So yeah, as we can see, short term it's done reasonably well. It's I'm 2.5% up on my holdings straight away. So my yield on cost, if we take out my 30% dividend cut pessimism, my yield on cost was 7.35%, which was obviously quite a bit higher than City of London, which I sold a few grand out of. So now City of London and Lowland are a bit closer together. It's been kind of the outperformed of the UK ones recently, so I've trimmed it. Yes, you'll notice I didn't even notice it until last week. I was editing the video, and I've noticed that I've stopped. When I make a move, I used to calculate the exact amount my dividend has risen by, didn't I? And for some reason I've just stopped doing that, and it wasn't a conscious decision. I just noticed that I'd stopped doing it, and I think the reason is because I'm kind of there on my dividend. I've got a good budget for this year of 12,400 quid. So you can see here's my budget. Well, this is the ongoing budget, so I'm already 1, 2, 3, 4 months into it. But yeah, at the beginning of the year, this was the budget plan, 8,468, something like that. It might have changed since I last showed this on the screen, and and that's pretty low. And I think I'm pretty confident in sticking to that budget. I'm already 400 quid ahead just in the 4 months I've collated the information for already. And so it feels to me like I can take the opportunity to just care less about this, like the incremental dividend increases, and partially this is why I put the 0.7% thing here. Oh, I hate it when Google does that. What it does is it recognises that the brackets aren't required anymore, and it deletes them. So that just makes it harder to add what I want to add back into it. They think they're being clever. This is what annoys me about computers, AI, all of that stuff. They think they're being clever. Oh, look, we recognise those brackets weren't needed anymore, so we got rid of them. Like, no, that's not what the user wants. The user wants the flexibility to get in there quickly and add a multiplier by 0.7. Yeah, this is something I really hate about the way computers and software is going. They think they know better than you do, and it's so infuriating. Anyway, there's me rant over. Yeah, so that's partially why I put this kind of pessimistic overlay on there, so that when if land securities does really well for a while, I'll probably go back into City of London, because I'm kind of cheating my system here, aren't I, by taking it out of the core of my portfolio and putting it into the risky blue section there. So at some point I might want to go back. So by putting this overlay on, I'm kind of tricking myself. I can go to a pretty close, at the moment it's a close-ish yield to what I've got written here. But yeah, so yeah, I'm kind of cheating the system. I need to calm down, because yesterday I think it was, I was pondering doing even more and putting some into another renewables one. I was thinking about Greencoat Wind, which was almost a 30% discount to NAV, and I was thinking of swapping a bit more out of one of these. I don't know. Yeah, yeah, I need to be careful. I need to stop. Just because I've had a couple of takeovers in the past few weeks doesn't mean that this blue section of the portfolio is going to do any better than the rest. I need to calm down and just remember this blue section is for my fun. It's not to be gotten greedy with. I can't just keep increasing the size of it, because it's already 11.69%, as we can see there. And I said to myself 10%. But yeah, you know, so yeah, I need to be careful. And then we had some updates. What was it? I can't even remember this one. I say this every week, don't I? I forget what actually was announced. Continuation. Right, yeah. So they've introduced a continuation vote. They've done this thing that I think they might have mentioned before, to be honest, where they're changing it to charging fees based on an average of the NAV per share and the share price. But also they were going to add these fees for takeovers and stuff for the management. There we go. For the management company. And gladly, the shareholder base has obviously revolted on that. I bought it after they announced that, to be honest, because there was a bit of a dip in the price on that news, I think. Not quite sure, to be honest, can't remember. But yeah, so thankfully they have reneged on that new fee that they were trying to get in. It was all very greedy, if you ask me. So I'm glad they were stopped from doing that. But yeah, the market seemed to like it. I think partially it's because of the continuation vote that's been put in. I think, what does it say? In addition, a continuation vote will be proposed if the company's shares have trading on an average at a discount of more than 10% per NAV in any year. There will be a continuation vote. So I mean, I guess the market liked that, because that brings up the possibility of like selling all of their assets, like Harmony Energy did. So yeah, the market seemed to like it, and that's why it was up 4.28% that this week. Although it seems like all of the renewable stuff was up, so maybe it's not because of that news specifically. Maybe it's just a general market sentiment on the sector rather than being because of this specific news. MTE, so that's Montanaro, European Smaller Companies. Yeah, they made an announcement about initiatives for shareholder value. It's just a load of talk about doing more buybacks and stuff like that. Oh yeah, then reducing the management fee, that's good news. But it's still a pretty high one. Mind you, smaller companies tend to have higher fees anyway, because I guess there's just a lot more companies to look into, and they're a lot less well known anyway, so it's probably more work to look into smaller companies. And again, another regular tender offer to improve liquidity. What is that going to be? At a 5% discount to NAV. So it wouldn't be at NAV anyway. I mean, I don't care about this stuff anyway, to be honest. I just hold. Yeah, just a little bit of news there. Nothing major on that. Although actually I noticed, I never really monitor these ones very much, but last time I remember looking at Montanaro Smaller Companies, it was at a loss of maybe 5%, but yeah, it looks like it's made a decent-ish gain quietly there without me really noticing. JPMorgan US Smaller Companies has had its annual results. Not much to say on this really, they're all just smaller companies, so the only thing of note really for me is that the dividend, they just pay one a year, so the dividend's gone up by a few percent this year, off the back of a 20% bounce the year before. But yeah, they always reiterate this is not a progressive dividend policy. This is just paying out what we need to stay being a investment trust. So you know, this is not one of those where I consider it sort of in the bank every year. I mean, it's irrelevant anyway because it's only, what is it for me, 40 quid I think. Yeah, it went from 39 to 41-ish quid a year. So yeah, it doesn't matter anyway. Let me at least tell you how they did. So in the accounting year, to the end of the calendar year, they were up 11.3%, and the benchmark was up 13.3%. But yeah, as I say, but despite that, the share price actually had a total performance of 18.7%. That discount of 6.54% is lower than it used to be, as we can see here. And then it's recovered a bit. That discount to NAV has over the past year. Wonder what it's been like over 10 years though. Yeah, pretty erratic actually. It goes up to, sometimes it goes to a premium, then it goes all the way down to 15, back up to -5. Yeah, lots of ups and downs by the looks of it. Anyway, that's another one. I just let them do their business and I hold for the long term. Yeah, and the last thing that happened this week was the SCHD reconstitution occurred. So I've already edited that video, so I'll put it in here. It's Tuesday afternoon. So over the weekend, SCHD had its reconstitution, which is what they reapply the rules of the fund, the algorithmic rules of the fund, and they chuck a load of companies out and they bring some in. So obviously on Monday I was kind of looking around to see if I could find the new holdings and their new percentages for rebalancing my pie to match the fund. But as you can see from this video here that I had recorded yesterday, we can see here that yesterday, this is the information that the Schwab website gave us. It pretty much had the top 10 as it was before. Well, AbbVie was there at the top, which is what it was before. But then there was this one ConocoPhillips one here at 3.2 billion, and it doesn't show you the percentage that it is. And it got me thinking about how my portfolio, my SCHD pie, never really seems to match it very well. Whenever I check this website, it never matches it very well. Yesterday I recorded this. If we see yesterday, what time was it? Well, it was the end of 8:20 last night. We can see here yesterday that I had Bristol Myers Squibb at 5.2%, Cisco at 5.15%. I mean, I guess the percentages aren't too important because I exclude the bottom 50% of the fund, so it's really the order that counts. But as you can see, my AbbVie holding is way down here at like 0.8 percentage points lower than my top holding of Bristol Myers Squibb. Compared to Schwab's, AbbVie's at the top, Bristol Myers Squibb is fourth. I've got Cisco Systems at second. Where's Cisco? And they've got it as like, what is that, seventh. It got me thinking, and I'm wondering whether this is indicating some reason why my pie never seems to match very well, even though I set the percentages approximately correct at the beginning. So it should really just go in line with it. So yeah, I was looking into it all yesterday. This ConocoPhillips. So I clicked the download into a spreadsheet option and got this spreadsheet. If we scroll down to the bottom of the spreadsheet, I've kind of reformatted it slightly. We can see here that all of these don't have a percentage of assets in column D. I've also noticed, and I mean, it makes sense, if you add up all the percentages of assets, it only adds up to 83.97%, because of obviously all these bottom ones aren't there. And it just got me thinking that maybe these percentages of assets, this column here, doesn't get updated very often. It then also got me thinking, where are they getting this total amount invested in each company from? Because this spreadsheet doesn't have anything. It doesn't have like 3.8 billion for AbbVie. There's nothing here. So yeah, it all seemed a bit off. It seemed to me like the percentage of assets doesn't get updated as often as this quantity column does here. Because obviously we've got quantity for the new holdings at the bottom here. So what I did yesterday was I just used this quantity column here to work out what the total value was yesterday, or well, it technically would have been the close on Friday because this spreadsheet got updated before the markets opened in America. I mean, this is the old way I used to do it. I used to just literally copy across the percentage from that spreadsheet into here. But it now seems this is inaccurate, and that's probably why I'm going off piste quite easily. So what I've got here is I've just done it. It's actually a simpler way. I've copied the ticker and I've copied the number of shares and I've multiplied it by the current share price. You can see the formula there. It's a much simpler formula than I used to use. And then I've worked out the top 50 percentages there. And then what that revealed yesterday was that all of the information seems to be wrong on the website, because I've got here AbbVie as like the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh position at 4.15%. Obviously that's 4.15% of the top 50, not the 100. So it's not quite a like for like comparison, but we can see here that AbbVie on their website is much higher, and they've got it as 3.8 billion. And I've worked out the holding as 2.75 billion by the looks of it. So yeah, it just all seemed a bit wrong, so I kind of delayed doing my rebalance. And what we've got here is today's. Well, this is the point. You see, you can see the date at the bottom right of my screen. It's the 25th today, and it's quarter of an hour before the US market opens. Yet they've labelled as of date, see, they've called column A as of date the 25th of the 3rd, but none of this information can possibly be from the 25th because the markets aren't open yet. So yeah, it's wrong on a few levels, but as we can see here, now this updated file makes more sense. That matches more closely what I calculated in my spreadsheet. I think I'll do a lot better at matching the top 50 of SCHD if I completely ignore that column there in the spreadsheet that I download, and I just use the quantity, because I think if I'd done my rebalance yesterday purely based on these quantities that I've got here, I think I'd be pretty damn close to what's shown now, what's been updated now. And I've done it today's lower down in this spreadsheet. I've done it for today, and we can see that it kind of, well, here I've done a calculation of the top 50 percentage, and I've got AbbVie there as 3.93%. And they've got it, well, let's have a look. They've now got it as AbbVie 3.9%, and I'm working it out as 3.93, so that's pretty damn close, isn't it? And I've got a total value of 2.76 billion. It's nice to have worked that out. A little bit annoying that they can't just keep this information up to date. So all I do is I just copy the ticker and the number of shares. I then, for some reason, this one ticker down here, that one there, I needed to add the full stop there to make Google recognize it and give me the share price. I then highlight these cells here. I ignore the top 50. I highlight those four columns, and then I sort it by column D. I sort data range, and then that tells me which are the top 50. These formulas here work out the percentage of the top 50. But yeah, so yeah, later on today I'll probably do that at some point. Alright, so I guess I'll update my SCHD then. I'm just going to double check, because this is what I sorted earlier. I'm just checking that the top 50 hasn't changed since earlier on today when I did this sort. And as we can see, there's quite a bit of a gap there. So yeah, the top 50 is still correct, so I don't need to resort it. So I'll just reform. Obviously this top 50, we can only use one decimal place in trading 212. So I'll just change that to one decimal place. I want to set it in stone, so that's 100%. I want to set it in stone, so I need to copy those numbers and then paste special, values only. So now it's static. Because there's so many changes here, it's proving a bit cumbersome, and it might just be easier to start from scratch. Because normally there's like one or two that move in and out, but because this is the reconstitution, there's about 20 probably. I can't remember the exact number. So I reckon it might be easier just to start again. I think I should just delete all the holdings and reintroduce them and set the percentages. I'm going to swap it around. I'm going to do it on my phone whilst looking at the spreadsheet on the screen, I think. Alright. ConocoPhillips. $4.8. Chevron. 4.7. Right, so we've got 0.1 percentages, 0.1% to add to something up here. I don't know, I'm biased towards pharmaceuticals for some reason, so I'll add it there. Not going to rebalance right now. I just want to see how it shows here. Does it remember? Yes, okay, so it's consolidated the stuff that was already in there, so it remembers that I've got a load of Bristol Myers, so it puts it there. So if I go down to the bottom, we should see all of the new holdings with 0 in. Yeah, so these are the new holdings. American Financial, APA. I think I got rid of APA at some point when I put a load of money in General Mills, Halliburton, Merck, Avanti, Schlumberger. So the big ones are Target, Schlumberger, and they're all removed from the pie. Target, Schlumberger, they're the big ones. Merck, 4.1%. ConocoPhillips is the biggest holding now. Okay, and the rest are already held. Right, so hopefully now if I click the rebalance button, it should just do what it should delete all of the ones that are removed and just get everything as it should be, hopefully. Okay, next. We are ready to go. FXV 57 pence they estimate, so let's confirm. Alright, yeah, I remember this now. God, it's so rare that I do this, I forget how it works. But yeah, you see a little progress bar at the top. I never went back and checked all my numbers. I think I'm being lackadaisical because it's such a small amount of money I have invested here anyway. I think when I've got like, I plan to get about 10 grand in here at some point. And at that point, I'll probably take more care when I do these things. I won't be so rushed. It's, yeah, like I say, it's just not a big deal if it is wrong with these small amounts. Taking its time. Stuck at 70%. It is getting stuck at 70 odd percent though. These must be the less. There we go. It's come to life again. Okay, successfully balanced. Oh, that's so annoying. Why is there 25 quid cash there? That's way too much to be left over. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, I suppose that'll get rid of 6 quid, won't it? I mean, if it knows that now that it can use that cash, why not do it before? Okay, so it's getting rid of some cash there. Okay, so I guess I can just do this a few times, can't I? And eventually the cash might go down to a low enough number that I don't mind removing it. Power successfully rebalanced. So we still got 18 quid. That's still too much. What happens if I press it again? Not enough funds. Right, I guess I could do it like kind of manually, couldn't I? What I could do is I could export, I could take the 18 quid out of the pie. I could manually buy a few of these things outside of the pie with the 18 quid and then import those holdings back into the pie. That's how I could do it. I think I'll switch to the computer for that anyway. £18.66. Let's just put a quid into all the big ones. Okay, so I've now invested the spare £18.66 exactly. Now, the one thing that's going to annoy me here is I think I've got UPS as an individual holding. I can't remember whether it was in my ISA or in my... Yeah, that's annoying. So I'm going to have to separate out the £1 worth of UPS I just bought separately. Okay, first of all, I'll do the... I'll import it into SCHD first. Import investments. AbbVie, Altria, Vanguard, Verizon. Right, so I can type the exact amount in to separate my UPS and my Texas Instruments one. I bet there's a better way of doing that. I bet if I'd gone here, I should, right, yeah, I remember now. I should have sent the cash out and then I should have clicked invest. Because I think if you click invest instead, you can do it manually. Custom. A custom distribution for this deposit. So, that's so annoying. Right, I could have done this a much easier way. I should have just clicked, I should have exported the cash and then done the invest button by custom. Because if I'd clicked that, I could have done £18.66 by typing in the cash amount. Okay, yeah, that would have been much easier. Okay, that's stupid. This is the problem though. I deal with this so rarely that I kind of forget how it all works. And I end up doing it the harder way. Yeah, so all of these bigger ones that I just added £1 to are going to be even more overweight now, aren't they? But I mean, it's still small fry in the grand scheme of things. 4.21 compared to 4.1 is not a big deal, is it? Should run them at the same time, shouldn't I? Import investments. And I guess there's going to be some dividends that come through from the holdings that I sold in that rebalance, isn't there? So I'll have to keep an eye out for those. Right, but that's done then, I guess. So I'll, yeah, that's the massive rigmarole I go through for the sake of accuracy. But I don't think it really matters that much. I'm rather OCD about these things. So I had to make sure that £18 got invested. All right, later. Oh, and just one last bit of information. I've just gone through the portfolio and inputted the latest dividend projection, or well, just the current quarterly dividend in there. And the portfolio's yield has gone down slightly to 3.17%. Now, this does exclude like ConocoPhillips, Ford, and American Financial Group. They have specials which I've excluded just because they were a bit sporadic. So, you know, those ones could have extra bits of dividend come through. I mean, but also, this is also a bit flattering because these numbers here from the pre-rebalance did not have the up-to-date dividends in. I just did them once. So any dividend growth that's happened over the 12 months or however long it is I own them for isn't reflected there. So I think it is a bit of a dividend decrease, this reconstitution that's just happened. But as far as my spreadsheets are concerned, I'm blissfully ignorant of it, because all that's happened to my projection on the spreadsheet is it's gone from £31.75 to £31.08. So I'll just live in ignorance of how much it's actually reduced. And we're back, and I'll just say goodbye at the end, and I'll see you next week. Bye, bye.